What's going on, guys? It's MitchMotoMaths here. We're here to unveil my project bike. I bought myself a crashed 2015 R3 that I plan to hopefully restore and get on the track. Right, I'm going to turn this into a dedicated track bike so I don't have to use my road going R3 on the track. Yeah, so I bought this at auction, spent $825 buying it at auction. Still trying to work out whether or not I have overspent. Likely I have, but regardless, I've got myself a parts bike, worst comes to worst. So what we're going to do is start off with in this video, all we're going to do is just give it a quick look over, then I'll talk about my plans, and what I'm going to do in terms of restoring this bike and getting it to something more than just a crashed road bike. So we're going to turn it into a track bike and get it running. But let's just go through and have a bit of a look at what the damage is, what we're looking at. So now the photos made this look worse. All right. So now we're just going to take a little bit of a look around. As you can see, it's mostly the plastics that have seen better days. The bike itself doesn't appear to be damaged. And the good thing is I've got a same, different year, but same generation R3 sitting right there that I can use as a bit of a, what's this supposed to look like when it comes to putting it back together. The rear of the bike, other than a little bit of fairing damage here, is pretty solid. I haven't even checked if the bike turns over yet, so that's going to be the first thing we do. So we'll see what we get. So got keys came with the bike. So it's got 53,000 on it. The oil light's flashing, so I'm gonna guess it's not gonna turn over. And no. So probably one of the first things I'm gonna do after I've stripped the fairings off, stripped all the plastics off, is get my OBD tool, see if there's an error code coming up, and then just give it a once over and see if we can sort of ID what's going on with it. That's sort of the plan. But yeah, that's obviously snapped off during transport. Yeah, so my plan for this bike, obviously turn into a track bike, but in terms of the process of doing that, I'm going to document everything for the cost. I'm going to try my best to get any parts that I need from someone else's crashed R3 or second-hand, purely because ordering OEM parts to replace something for a track bike doesn't really seem like a financially good idea. But we're going to strip it off. So that's the first thing, is we're going to strip it off. Then we're going to give the engine a bit of love, hopefully an oil change, some new filters and things like that will get it to a point where it wants to actually turn over. You can hear the bike is really wanting to just go. Obviously there probably just needs to be oil changed out, things like that. Then if that doesn't work, get the OBD tool out and just see what error messages come up. Then we will strip off everything, off all the fairings, then put back on the ones that aren't damaged, so we can see what I need to get my hands on. I am going to get dedicated track fairings, so I'm not going to be looking too hard for those. But things I'm looking for is obviously the tacho is little bit displaced. Looking to get that back to the way it was, so I'll probably have to order a new one of those unless I can find another crashed R3. I'm not going to really find anyone that's getting rid of those because they're needed regardless of what the bike is. In terms of what the condition of the bike is, you know, I looked at the photos and I went, this could be an absolute nightmare to restore, especially since it's going to be sort of my first solo restoration project. I'm going to ask Nathan for help here and there, but I want to give this a shot myself. I'm just looking at the bike. I did notice that it looks like they put aftermarket suspension in it. They've had frame sliders, which is really lucky for me because obviously it's kept the damage to the bike sort of low. They haven't really done too much else to it other than frame sliders, tank grip pads, and there was a quad lock here. I'll get rid of the quad lock. I don't obviously want it on a track bike. But yeah, we can look into it a little bit more detail in another video, but it does look like, just comparing it to the stock suspension and triple clamps that are on my stock R3, well, stock to an extent, it looks like there's a little bit of some aftermarket stuff's been put through. Does mean I have a one spare mirror because this one's cactus. You can't really easily replace the glass on these. You know, I'm going to, so the plan is get it running, get it rideable, so to an extent where at the moment it's not turning completely to the left. So we're going to see if we can get the forks, make sure the forks are straight, get it running rideable, maybe even take it for a test spin before I do anything else. But then we're going to look at doing some, if the suspension's already upgraded, I'm probably not going to bother about that, but we're going to look at foot peg risers, new exhaust, making the bike a little bit lighter, getting rid of all the excess electronics, and just getting it into a bit of a track bike. And I'm not going to turn it into a race bike. It's got way too many Ks on it for me to try and turn it into a race bike, but I will, if it all goes well, I'll look at doing another project where I can find something with a little bit less Ks on it that I can transform into a race bike, or even just make it a donor bike for this one. But yeah, that's the plans. I'm going to keep, you know, detailed listing of all the costs, go through all the costs that we're at the end of each video. So obviously we're just looking at $825 for the bike itself after the fees from the wreckers and things like that, and plus the 80 bucks in petrol I spent going to get this. And big shout out to my mate Vince. Wreckers aren't open on weekends, and that's the only time I can get down to Melbourne. So he went and picked it up for me after I dropped him off my trailer because they were really iffy about him using a ute. But yeah, so hopefully by next sort of track season, so September, I'll have this ready to at least try and ride it. Obviously I'm going to probably be a little bit cheeky and just ride it up and down the driveway when I'm in the midst of testing it, but we're going to pull it down, strip it off, check the engine, and then see if we can start getting it looking like a bike rather than a crack thing. I'm going to keep all of the spare parts that are whole. So this indicator, they've put a tail tidy on it. I might have a look at what these lights look like. And oh yeah, they are kind of nice. Steal them for my Road R3. Looks like they have the same tail tidy as what I do. They've just decided to change over the indicators. The stock indicators on the R3 are a little bit floppy. All the Yamaha stock indicators are a little bit, you know. So I'll put down a detailed list of my plan in the video. So really it's just going to be, so the first video after this is going to be when I strip it down and see if I can get the engine running. The video after that will be when we've got the fairings on it and seeing if it can actually move. then we're going to be looking at some exhaust upgrades and things like that, and see if we can get it all sorted. But yeah, I know I said to myself the next bike was going to be a Tenere, but I was just kind of getting a little bit restless. Tenere's in the works, just working out a little bit of the finance options and things like that. Yeah, so this will hopefully keep me busy and, you know, go with the rules of N+1. Garage is starting to get a little bit full. Got a few things to get rid of and things like that to sort of open up the space, but you know, I'm probably gonna have to do a lot of the work during daylight hours because I'll need to move everything out of the garage so I have the space, and I don't really want to do that at night. I am in a quiet little area, but that's just what it is. But yeah, so if you've got any suggestions or tips in when it comes to building a track bike from a crashed road bike, make sure to pop them in the comments. If you've got any ideas for color schemes, I am going to repaint this. I am partial to blue and black and white as my sort of color scheme, so that's what I'm kind of looking for. But if you've got any recommendations for where to get track fairings, anything like that, make sure to pop it in the comments. The fun thing is going to learn how to do the kickstand delete, but that's going to be one of the last things I do, just because I've only got one set of paddock stands at the moment, and I'll need to buy some more of those before I permanently allocate them to keeping this bike upright. Yeah, alrighty, thanks for watching. Make sure if you want to see the full rebuild to like and subscribe. We will have a full pan. This is what the bike looked like. This is what the bike looked like after the final video. But yeah, that's the plan. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.